everyone. I'm just going to present my PowerPoint to you. The first slide, the title of my PowerPoint is Physical Education Participation and Classroom Behavior. My name is Merritt Davis. This is for PE 589, Physical Education and Exercise Science Capstone. My professor is Dr. Angela Robles, and this is our second fall term in 2017. Moving on here, my second slide, we're talking about the introduction, purpose, and research. The introduction to my PowerPoint here is I teach elementary physical education, and I'm also interested in the connection between physical education participation and classroom behavior. My purpose of the study is to explore the relationship between physical education participation and classroom behavior of elementary children. My central research questions, I had 3 of them. The first one is, what are the elementary school teachers' perceptions of physical education participation and classroom behavior? The second one is, what are the elementary school teachers' perceived benefits of physical education? And the last one is, what are the elementary school teachers' perceived challenges of physical education? So those are my 3 central research questions. Moving on to the next slide. My first article is called Physical Fitness Improves Academic Achievement. And this article explored the relationship between FitnessGram test scores and academic performance in children. It was a procedure that was done in West Virginia. And the FitnessGram test scores, now those are the scores they do in physical education, for example, sit-ups, push-ups, mile run, sit and reach. So they took those test scores and they compared them to the West Virginia state tests. And this was for all males and females in fifth grade students that they did it on. And the data they collected, they noticed a correlation between the two. So if the students had high FitnessGram test scores, they also had high academic test scores. So they noticed a comparison with these two. And this article supports the theory that positive physical fitness results could be correlated with students obtaining higher academic achievement. So that was my first article. Excuse me. My second article was Physical Activity Increased, it was called. And this article was researching physical education and the short and long-term health benefits of physical education. And the study was done on a 3rd grade classroom with boys and girls participation in physical education. What they found out, it was a quantitative method, and basically what they were trying to differentiate was if there was an increase in moderate to vigorous physical activity. So the results of the study, they affirm that there's more experiments that actually needed to be done to learn the effects of physical education activity and whether that moderate to vigorous physical activity had a effect on the classroom behavior. So that was my second article. My third article is called Exercise Promotes Student Learning. And this article researches how physical activity increases positive influence on classroom behavior, memory, and concentration. And what they did, they took elementary kids, grades 1 through 5, and they were both boys and girls, and they had them, some of them take a 20-minute walk and then go in the classroom and take a test. And they obviously had a test group that just took the test. The methods, the data that collected were quantitative methods, and the results, they showed that the students that actually went for the 20-minute walk and then sat down and take a test, there was an increase of 8% on the students who had activity breaks compared to those who didn't, who went on a walk. It also demonstrated an increase of 20% improvement on students with larger behavior problems. So this, I really enjoyed this article. It supported my statement by showing how physical education and physical activity can improve students' performance and test scores. So that was my third article. Moving on to slide 6, which is my methodology. The procedure that I did, the study I did, was a mixed method research design that I did it all on SurveyMonkey, which, by the way, I really enjoyed using SurveyMonkey. It was very easy to use. And it really, I had a really good experience with it. So anyway, basically what I did was I sent out the participants just a link that said, please do this on SurveyMonkey. And it was an electronic questionnaire that they could do just online. And the participants of my study were 23 teachers from one public elementary school in Southern California. There were both male and female participants. And they were all teachers that were teaching either first, second, third, fourth, or fifth grade. They all had physical education twice a week for 50 minutes. So the method that I used was a mixed method approach. The quantitative data was found by using 6 Likert scale and 6 yes/no questions on my SurveyMonkey online website, and that was the first part of the survey. The second part of the survey was a qualitative data, and that actually included 3 open-ended questions at the end of the survey. And I really enjoyed using both the quantitative and the qualitative. I got different answers for both of them, but I think actually the qualitative was really interesting, the open-ended questions that my participants wrote, and I really learned a lot from that. But I was definitely glad that I was able to use that mixed method, and that I was able to do that all on SurveyMonkey. I made it very easy. So the 7th slide here is my results of my survey. So the preliminary analysis, participants again were 23 elementary teachers from one public Southern California school, and they all taught first, second, third, fourth, or fifth grade, and all had physical education twice a week for 50 minutes. First of all, the qualitative main analysis, like I said, on SurveyMonkey, there was 3 major themes. The first theme was the physical education benefits, and with that theme, the participants, I noticed that they thought the benefits were improving social skills. That was one of them. Another was getting more exercise or in physical education. And then the last one was for the elementary kids. The benefit of physical education was they were able to practice sportsmanship and also work in teams. So those were as far as the themes, those were all physical education benefits. The second theme was physical education changes, and the changes that came out in the results were having more physical education classes. All the participants that were in my study were at a elementary school that had all double physical education classes. So even though they had it twice a week for 50 minutes, there was always 2 classes together. So first through third grade, you're dealing with 50 kids, and then fourth and fifth grade, you're dealing with 70 kids. So even though there's, a PE teacher and a PE aide, for the most part, you still have all those kids, and you're still, that's still a change. That was one of my themes, basically, is, either hiring more physical education teachers, or somehow implementing that they can have a way that they could have smaller classes. So basically more physical education and smaller classes were the changes. The third theme was physical education challenges, and the challenges were, like I was talking about, the large class sizes. When you have 50 to 70 kids in one class, it becomes more of a crowd control. It's hard to get that one-on-one with each student, and you're running into equipment issues, space issues, a lot of different issues that if it was a single class where you had 25 to 35 kids, it would be a lot different. With another one of the challenges with the large class sizes, you can also run into behavior problems. So those were the challenges on that theme. The quantitative main analysis, and that was at the beginning of my survey, the majority of participants, and that was 86.3% 37%, agreed physical education had positive behavior changes in the classroom. 72.73% participants agreed student acted less fidgety when they got back from physical education. And 63.64% participants agreed that students were able to easily transition from physical education to the classroom. So those were the first part of my SurveyMonkey results. On the second part, and these were with the yes/no questions, the majority of my participants agreed that physical education helped to fight obesity. That was actually 100% of them answered that. 95.45% answered that physical education improves social skills. 95.45 answered that physical education impacts lifelong exercise habits. And then the last one, 95.45%, students could concentrate more effectively after they had been in physical education classes. So those were my results. Moving on to the next slide here. Slide 8 is my discussion. So my first part of my discussion was similar and supportive. Basically, physical education played a positive role in elementary classroom behavior. And there was a study conducted on children's classroom behavior based on the completion of physical activity led by a trained teacher, a physical education teacher. And the results of the study were consistent with that physical activities, with consistency with physical activity, there was effectiveness on improving behavior in the classroom. So that was one of the study, and so that was definitely supportive to my results and my study that I did. The second one was also similar and supportive, and that was, it was a study that I talked about as having students walk for 20 minutes and then taking a test, and the results showed that students had improved cognitive control of attention and scored higher on tests than the students that did not participate in the 20 minutes of exercise. So this also had similarities between physical education activity and the positive connection with classroom behavior. So some of my discussion of my different results was having physical education 5 days per week did not increase physical fitness test scores. So this was kind of a different article, and it was a study that they had students have physical education 5 days per week, elementary kids, and then they had a group that had less than that, in where there's 3 days a week and then 1 day a week. But what they found out at the end of the study was that the students who actually went 5 days per week, they didn't necessarily have better test scores like FitnessGram scores or physical fitness test scores, but what they did notice was the overall shape, that they were in better shape than those attended only 2 or 3 times per week. So that was a different part of my discussion. Moving on to slide 9, my last slide. So the recommendations, implications, and future research. My research was helpful for teachers, administrators, parents, and students. The first thing was the educational importance of the study is found that the results that showed physical education played a positive role in elementary classroom behavior. So changes in the curriculum that I could do would include implementing a schedule where physical education is provided 5 days per week in an elementary school setting. So I thought that would be interesting to do a study with that. Also, in the classroom, brain breaks that were used in the morning and afternoon, and as well as the importance placed on creating smaller physical education classes. And like I said, with my study, it was double classes, 50 to 70 kids at a time. So I think having single classes, whether it's hiring more physical education teachers or whatever needs to be done, would be an interesting implication. So the new insights into teaching are that students may return from physical education ready to learn and concentrate in the classroom. So that's kind of an interesting part. Also adding physical education classes 5 days per week, having smaller classes and this may help in eliminating some behavior problems and create less work for administration. So basically, the administration, if they were able to, add 5 days per week, they were able to do the small class sizes, and they might, notice that there's less behavior problems, whether it's on the playground, in the classroom, before school. The kids are getting more exercise, there's less behavior problems. Also, the students they would be helpful with research by their test scores could rise due to less fidgeting after exercise and higher levels of concentration. So after they get back from physical education, they're able to concentrate more in the classroom, and their test scores could rise academically. Also, parents will it will be helpful for them because they will have fewer behavior problems at school and home because of the increase in students' physical activity. So the kids are getting more physical activity, and we're having less behavior problems at school and at home, and that would be pretty amazing. My future research on this, I thought it would be really interesting to investigate a study with the single physical education classes, like I said, compared to, the double with the 50 to 70 kids. So do 25 to 35 kids, just have the kids by themselves so you can get that really good one-on-one attention. And so the single physical education classes, and observing their attention and concentration in the classroom after they've had PE by themselves compared to these double classes. Are they having better concentration? Is their behavior better? So I thought that future research would be interesting. Another part of the research that I found, like with my survey, is, they did this, they answered all the results questions and everything, but if the teacher had the physical education at the end of the day, how were they really able to know if the students were coming back less fidgety or if the students were having better behavior? So I think it would also, for the future research, be interesting to not only having the single classes, but also having all the PE classes in the morning, and kind of do a study and seeing how different their behavior is as the day goes on. Thank you guys for listening to this PowerPoint, and I've enjoyed this journey with all of you, and I wish you the best of luck. Thank you so much.